Well, good morning. Did you guys miss me yesterday on the 4th? I know a few of you sent me messages and you were like, wait a minute, my new favorite show is not here. What's going on? Have you been banned? I actually have not been banned yet, right? We say that women who behave rarely make history, so it's only a matter of time, really. But no, yesterday was my husband's birthday. He was magically born on the 4th. So we took a day to disconnect, to just really go to the lake house, to sit by the water, to play family games, to just spend time with family, eat good food. Take a breathing moment, because that really is so important. And so you guys, wherever you are joining me from, be sure and comment below where you are at, what city, what state, what has brought you here to no man's land, where we talk casually fun politics Monday through Thursday at noon Central Standard Time. And we talk about the grave truth. And the grave truth today, guys, man, just one day off. And already you've got Washington, D.C. banning dancing at weddings. I felt like I looked at the news headlines and that I was in a weird dimension that is reenacting Footloose. What's going on? Kevin Bacon, where is he? We're a few people short. I mean, we've got the crazy train going, but goodness, to imagine that somebody has already had to endure the last year of people dying in and out of the hospital, giving birth alone, having to say goodbye or hello or have very sacred moments be taken, right? Meanwhile, you have some states in our nation completely open with very low rates of disease or spreading, by the way, and businesses doing better, all things kind of looking better, stronger in a revival space or recovery space. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C. prohibiting dancing at a wedding. Dancing. That means if you have planned your wedding, you want to have your dance with your dad or mom or whatever, we're sorry. That's been banned. Go straight to jail. You go straight to jail. It's one of those things. We are a laughing stock. That is absolutely ridiculous. But you know what? The headlines don't get any different or less strange from there. So I'm wondering, depending on where you're at, if you guys are signing up for notifications and joining me, we've got people joining from all over the world. So Raleigh, North Carolina, Omaha, Nebraska, fellow people from Minnesota, Minneapolis, I see there. And it's one of these moments of like, you know what, we've got people way over on the crazy spectrum. And that's what we are also going to talk a little bit about. And not so crazy. Niagara Falls here, Aries career entrepreneur, open cannabis dispensary. Ooh, nothing like instigating the populace to act out. Woo, Ohio, crazy Ohio. We say crazy because you're looking like California these days in some of the headlines. You're like Minnesota. Anyway, this was just one of the numerous ridiculous headlines I wrote down on my little piece of paper in the last hour or so. The things that I wanted to mention, and I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you feel like if you and what you're seeing, obviously, is you're seeing a lot of like wedding planning businesses. What happens is people then go, you know what? If I can't get it here, I'm going to walk this way. I'm going to cross these state lines. I'm going to move my business to where I can do these things, which is why people flocked to America once. We were a place, one of the last places you could bear arms, you could dance, you could have freedom of religion. And slowly but surely, these things are siphoning. And there goes Washington banning dancing. Just absolutely ridiculous. But with that, and I like the Aries mention, Aries career entrepreneur. Astrologically speaking, if you're joining us on the show that I do weekly on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m., Astronomy and Alchemy with Matt Slozier, we are in an Aries, Aquarius, air, yang space. And so that's going to come up a lot. Me being someone who works in spirituality and forensic psychology and a lot of strange little gray areas in no man's land, hence the name of the show. When I say severe weather is not going to stop, and we have seen it in Texas, Georgia, Mississippi, Ohio even, and they say Minnesota gets more tornadoes than, I remember when I moved here from Missouri and I thought, what? In Missouri and Kansas City, right, it's not Kansas, people. We do go to Kansas sometimes. We want to go street racing or get like yayas in Overland Park. Not really any other reason to go to Kansas. Maybe Atchison, go ghost hunting or something, but MU. Anyway, so severe weather. I'm very familiar with tornadoes. Wednesdays, first Wednesday of the month here. So we're going to have the happening, but Texas and Georgia and all these just wiped out. Whoa. And this is a reminder of the power of Mother Nature. This is that reminder, gosh, if we have enough people out there praying, gosh, there's got to be something left to unite us. Detroit, Michigan out there, Matt, welcome. Then sometimes it's tragedy. Sometimes it's horrific things. If it's not the Olympics, which right now the Olympics just recently banned anybody, any athlete from wearing any, and it's always been a thing, political clothing. You're not to do that. You're a paid, put on our cereal boxes role model. And that is your choice to be an Olympic athlete from your country and to represent your country and have pride in your country. And therefore you would not be wearing BLM. And so the Olympics had to remind people today that they're banning BLM and all that kind of thing. But unification comes in many forms. It might be severe weather. Don't take Mother Nature for granted. Air, space, reputation, gossip, inflammation, UFOs, the breaking of didacted things, more information than you might want. Let it set you free. You can't handle the truth. You better get ready for it because it's coming. Whether it's HARP, controlled weather, whether it's Bill Gates buying up more stuff like the Biden just buying, I believe, 6 acres to finish up that wall they said that they didn't want to have anything to do with. People are buying up things. It's going to be air. It's going to be information. It's going to be the censorship of stuff. Again, today, more banning and censoring of things, not just books, but people. And this kind of stuff is not going to stop or slow down. So you guys do take a moment, teach your children. It's our responsibility to take care of ourselves and those around us. Healthy, severe weather information. Good Lord, meteorologists, they can be wrong every darn day of the week. Or it is HARP. Those poor people, they don't know what's going on. Who's to say? Anyway, weird conspiracy news. I know last time we got off on a weird L'Homme Elise vaccination side portal, but a U.S. diplomat in the Swiss embassy, employee, 51 years of age, not a lot being released about it. A representative of Iran, really speaking on behalf of Iranian interests, recently went missing in her apartment. No, wait, did she fall from the 17th floor or did she jump from the 17th floor? We're not sure. There's not a whole lot of information about it. Next, that's a hashtag TEHRAN. If you're interested in that information, that's pretty important. That's pretty important as we have we are forcibly taking Taiwan. Don't step over the red line here in the Ukraine. We've got a lot of major war boundaries, borders, things happening. So you've got a lot of different dimensions, physical, spiritual, emotional, where all of these things are mirroring that as well. And you're seeing this kind of dichotomy. And there's a space where things are really happening and there's real importance for boundaries, consent, protection. Be aware of the movement of air. And this is very important. People jumping from more than just the 11th story, MK Ultra. And that's pretty important. Why did she do that? I don't know. Anyway, here in Minnesota, again, we're seeing people and comment, where are you from? I'm seeing all sorts of, I love the Niagara Falls, controlled weather. Absolutely. You can't rebuild. If you control the resources, burn, loot. Not that group in the Olympics, would they? No, never. Yeah. You guys feel me. You get it. I like how the universe naturally brings us together, right? But here in Minnesota, if you guys, I don't know if where you're at, it's a news headline or not, but I am psychic. I do psychic readings. You can learn about that at Paranormal Sarah, but .com, not gum, not com, .com. Biden, get your words right. And here in Minnesota, the Chauvin trial, in the attorney motioning for a completely new trial. Why? Because the jury was impartial, just among 9 other reasons that are absolutely rational, reasonable, and real. And one of them, jury misconduct. Brandon, I believe his name was Brandon Mitchell. Shame, shame, shame. We know your name. And we saw your picture because you posted it yourself on Facebook and let it be tagged. Dumb. Fusion centers will get you every time. As Snowden has told us, there is no privacy any longer. Anything you say and do can and will be tagged and posted online forever. So don't lie. Don't. You're not allowed that. You're not allowed trial and error. And if you are, you better hope the community around you is one of forgiveness, because not, they're going to cannibalize you. And guess what? That's exactly what's happening. It's like it's happening to Caitlyn Jenner. It's also going to happen in this space because whoops, that is absolutely ground for all of those things. As it, duh. So that's a concern. And when people are like justice, and we're like, what? 10 hours? Something's wrong. This isn't fair or justice. This is not. And here we are. This is kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. We see it in short-term, long-term strategic spaces. You see it in that short term where you have very far-end liberals. Oh my God, the racist patriarch system is won again. They just backdoored us into saying that he's innocent. And now he's never going to fix. And maybe let's riot and loot and burn everything down so we're more dependent on the system that we hate. Yeah. Or you're going to have people that are like, duh, we saw this coming. Duh, you should have done this from the beginning. Duh, you shouldn't have listened to the mob rule. You shouldn't have bent to everyone going, yeah. You should have just done it right from the very first time. And when you motion for a mistrial, you motion to be moved, you should have listened. But we're going to waste more money. We're going to churn that machine out all we can. Anyway, so that's happening here in Minnesota, and some people care and some people don't. Some people are barbecuing in the George Floyd autonomous zone. Meanwhile, some people are being drugged to their death 2 blocks away because the ambulance can't get to them in time and they're dying. It's safe. It's not. So anyway, protests worldwide. Minnesota is not special. Portland, Seattle, Atlanta, not special in that sense. And that protests happening Canada, Germany, Australia, all over. But one thing that was kind of interesting in that is how we're not seeing it. And some of the things that you kind of see in like the last death gurgle, if you will, of certain countries that are saying like, whether it be Myanmar or these genocides or just that they get washed away, they're getting, how did it happen? And we didn't know. Because the control of the media, because it was censored, because you didn't know, because you were so busy about this over here and the dangling carrot that you didn't have time, or you were so dependent upon the system or unemployed or struggling to meet your needs or struggling with healthcare or in some situation dependent upon a system that you cannot or feel you cannot change or influence. And then so like Colombia, what's going on with Colombia? What's going on with Israel? Is something going on? Are people being like beheaded in the streets of Colombia? Like old Brazilian times? Like not old, but like just a few years ago, but like recently, like today, like people being slaughtered? Like, is that happening? Google it. DuckDuckGo it. See what you can find. It's very interesting. There's some very interesting things going on worldwide that specifically, if you are in America, you're going to have a lot of struggle to find. So if you know someone in the military and they're able to talk with you, or you know someone traveling abroad or has traveled abroad, or you, like myself, have family that live overseas, reach out to them, talk to them directly, and see what the headlines and news are over there like today. Reach out today. It's a good reason right before Mother's Day, right? Take that initiative. Crazy Sarah told you so. We're all mad here, right? Call me crazy, but we're all mad here. Call them, ask, and just check. Because the censoring, boom, 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 it's really coming down heavy. And one way that we see it is whether or not you liked, and I don't like to keep saying his name because he is no longer our president, though there is parts of the population that are cheering and having parties and like redoing audits and recounting votes and like having huge anyway, you know who I'm talking about. Trump being censored. So the news came out again today. He's no longer the president. He kind of does what he wants anyway. People are kind of, he's still talking with a microphone. People are still recording him when he's out, and then that goes viral. So like, should we still ban him from all of our things? Well, what will it say if we don't continue to ban him? I don't know. I don't know. It could be bad, though. People are vulnerable right now. People aren't completely listening to us right now. People are hesitant to get the vaccine. They're looking at Joe and they're not falling for the old man thing. It doesn't look cute. It looks sad. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah. Just go ahead and just quietly ban him for 6 more months. We'll deal with it again in 6 more months because you know what's going to happen in 6 months. So just, just brush it under the rug for 6 more months. Okay. No, we knew you'd do that. He knew you'd do that because the same day that they announced that they were going to continue censoring and banning a man who was once our sitting president from these social media platforms, he announced his own, like, oh, well, if you're not going to let me play at your playground, then I'm just going to build a bigger playground with a better slide and everyone's going to come to my playground. And that's going to be what I do. And so there's this little like tug of war happening with social media, whether or not you care, whether or not it affects you, it does. It's kind of one of those things that we don't necessarily like to have to pay attention to it. But as far as social media goes, this particular 6-month review happens with social media. This is an information flow. This is that age of Aquaria. This is that going back to earth, going back to surrounding yourself with people you trust, holding journalism accountable, holding your own news outlets. Because I even live in a small northern town of Minnesota where it's we're learning that it's incredibly biased, that you can send in an article and they'll be like, oh, and that you can, it's interesting. So anyway, this is important because what did this person do that requires them any fair treatment of breaking? Well, they broke our rules. Did they break your rules? Did they break your rules? Or did they just not say what you wanted and they didn't go to your friends after adrenochrome party or something crazy? Who knows? People have their crazy reasons. And anyway, are falling and social media outlets are changing and so is money. And China says, yay, we're bringing the monetary dollar down, crash the dollar. And Elon said, I smoked once with Joe Rogan and saw this in an epiphany and I knew that this was going to happen. And so me and my brother went in a long time ago on making PayPal. And then we sold it and then we bought it back because it was sentimental, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And then we did like the Dogecoin. And then I'm going to go on SNL and then like Budweiser's going to do a commercial about it. And like everyone's going to be talking about Dogecoin. And like some people bought it at 0.03 cents and it's going to be well over $1. And then the dollar's going to crash. And then all this is going to happen and cryptocurrency and what and huh and what and huh and what? That's weird. That may or may not happen. It may or may not be happening right now. There may or may not be people yesterday that became millionaires. And then also people that stayed at home on their Zoom meetings doing the same old, wondering why they feel bad, why the Schumann resonance meter is going off the charts and the solar flares are peaking and Joe Biden's snatching up land and eminent domain is all over. And the people who say don't do this are over there doing this and vacationing in Florida when they tell you not to vacation in Florida. Do as I do. Don't. What am I supposed to say? Oh, yeah. Do what I say. And nothing else. And don't dance if you're in Washington, because that would be bad. And against the law. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. Something else that was delayed. Talking about crazy. Ghislaine Maxwell. Jeffrey Epstein, the guy who did not kill himself, that was killeried off in a jail cell somewhere. Don't say that, Sarah. They'll come for you. Okay. He died mysteriously in corrupt police. I don't know. Who knows? We don't know. But what we do know, this person once was on like MTV's The Rich and the Famous. And look at Jeffrey Epstein and his island. Look at all his people. And look at all this stuff. And, all the sex trafficking and the kids trafficking and the smuggling of like so many people into this country that boats of them are tipping over into the seas while other people are on vacation running into the ocean to try and save them. And let's just get that off the news quickly. Don't talk about it. And all this is happening. And we're like, we know it's a crisis, but it's not a crisis, but it is a crisis, but it isn't a crisis, but we're going to go ahead and do what that one guy, ban him, don't let him talk, but go ahead and finish what he was doing and buy. No, I don't care if it's owned by people. I don't care if it's a family. I don't know. They have children? Oh, no. Oh, okay. No, take it. Keep the kids, take it. So that's happening here in America. And July 12th was supposed to be the We Hear About Ghislaine. July 12th was supposed to be We Hear About Ghislaine. We hear about Jeffrey's side girl that was the gatekeeper to all the, but I was abused too. Yeah. But you just kind of did the whole like, don't poke me, poke them. And that's not cool. And you did it for a lot of money. And you looked like you were kind of enjoying it because in every picture of every time that you're shaking hands with like the big guys, you look like you're having a good time. I was on drugs that you were distributing to people and making a lot of money off of. 3 million? Is it 3 million? Is that right? 3 million pages of additional charges for additional sex trafficking and violations. That's going to take some time for us to read through. It will. Even the trolls online are going to need at least 3 months. 3 months? How about 6 months? Everything's about 6 months these days. Have you talked to the people? You know what's happening in 6 months. Oh, you have? Okay. 6 months. In about 6 months, we'll restart that. Thank you, Judge Nathan. Prep for new charges, please. Meanwhile, there's all of that. Paying attention? San Francisco. You go to the bus stop at 5 a.m. and you're Asian with your Asian friend. That shouldn't matter. Why is that in the headline? Why do we care? Because they were stabbed from the back like a military person would do, like that guy in Minneapolis. How do they say it? Minneapolis. It's like the mini apple. Oh, yeah. That guy that was doing all of that in the stabbings of Minneapolis, like from behind, coming up from the jugular and going down in a deep, deep cavity, like he's been trained to like make sure that we all know that everything can be. That happened? It did. But he wasn't military. Oh, he wasn't? Oh, he was? He wasn't? What did he look like? That's funny. We know that they were 2 Asian Americans. We know exactly how old they were. They were seniors. They were cute little old Asian ladies. But quickly to announce the mayor of San Fran, this is not a hate crime. This is not a hashtag hate crime. We are not like Minneapolis. This is not like that. Oh, well then tell us about the stabber. We cannot say for certain we know anything about that, but he is in custody and that has been taken care of. Next. What? Next. Next. Oh, okay. No, sure. California, the whole coast. We can do next. How about, Caitlyn Jenner? Don't know Caitlyn personally. I grew up with the once, and we talked about this again in past shows, that if you are transgendered, there's an interesting mental space here linguistically where the was and the is and the once was that is you have it's called your dead name. Ooh, like Deadpool. Do you get to pick your dead name? No, it's not like an alias. Your dead name is the person that you used to be. So you used to be an Olympic gold medalist and an athlete and a star, and you hit someone with your car and killed them and never really did a whole lot with politics. But anyway, didn't you know OJ and weren't you involved in, you kind of know some politics, right? Oh, shh. Oh, that person's dead. Okay. That person's dead. That person is dead because that's our dead name. And now there's a new person, and this new person also has very little political experience, but the commercial is good. The character degrading that happens, it's interesting because I was like, oh, this person's running as a Republican. This person is making news headlines because and this is something they have experience talking about, that a transgendered person going from one to the other shouldn't be playing in the sports, that maybe that equal space would be, a third category, or just to not infringe on the biological space of female sports. And he has daughters. They're very famous. And it's interesting because you go and you look at Caitlyn Jenner, Woman of the Year, all of the amazing things that Caitlyn, and I'm still very confused at that because I'm not sure what exactly, as a woman, what Caitlyn did to earn that title. I mean, as a woman speaking, I didn't vote on that. I wasn't a part of that, but that it is. And this was something that was said in a news thing by, if any of you out there listen to Louder with Crowder or dare yourself to do that. I love the comedian Dave on the show. He's absolutely one of my favorite people to listen to. And I love comedic relief. So when I'm listening to news outlets of all areas, I usually fall victim to the comedic relief. And anyway, they had said, gosh, gee, golly, gosh, it was more amazing to come out and have a sex change and be transgendered and have all of this than it is to speak out in Hollywood as a Republican and have an R next to your name. That the exiling and the mistreatment and the slandering on the very same shows by the very same people, like The View or these other like very popular, Hollywood shows. And it's like, man, used to just think that this was the best person ever, like the coolest, bestest person ever. What are they wearing today? What is Caitlyn doing today? And now suddenly thrown to the wolves. I think it discredits the village when that's how you treat your people, that lack of support. It's hypocritical and it's rude. And it's judgmental and it's nasty behavior. And we wouldn't like to think that we are judging people because of the race, the color of their skin, their species. Man, we're going to be having that soon, guys. Their genetics, like Gattaca, this is here. It's here. Whether or not they have Neuralink or not, whether or not they have AI in them or have a Fitbit or have an iPhone. Oh my God. Judging people by these superfluous things, but are they? Are they? Gender is just the beginning. So if we are not catching on to this right now and seeing the segregation and how people are going to deal with it, which as we're seeing, it's not well, that I think is why people have this unsettling feeling, not just the solar flares, not just the Schumann resonance, not just the earth going, hold on, I'm about to have a seizure. Remember when George Carlin did that skit about me and said I'd shake people off like a bad set of fleas? Look at me. I'm going to do it right now. It's going to happen. And in this space, I want to talk about just like micro, because again, I mentioned I lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, had my babies there, raised my babies, used to walk up and down the streets of downtown Minneapolis that is now completely barren wasteland, boarded up, people getting stabbed on the street corner, like in San Fran. Same way. Might even be the same guy. Fit the description, actually. Really? What was the description? Well, in Minneapolis, he was a black man who was well-trained, PTSD, but who knows? We don't know. I mean, it could have been, who knows? They might have had black umbrellas like everybody else standing next to the JK. The black umbrella. We can't talk about that. That's too much. Let's go back to just more realistic things. So in my community, there's been some hot spaces, news, biased news, articles going up, and people, running for the school board and school members and things like this. Really hot. The SEED program, critical race theory, CRT, erasing, censoring, editing our history. And obviously I have a problem with that, but I appreciate teachers, good school boards, and the integration and ability to have been able to move out of the city when things got pretty bad have a location north that's more welcoming, a smaller, tight-knit community where there's a lot of diversity. Though people might be Catholic or Lutheran, they are a little bit more conservative than what you see in a bigger city. And this is who, again, I have a master's degree in forensic psychology, not sociology. I have a bachelor's in sociology. I appreciate studying people, both individually and as in a group. And when you see the patterns of what happens when you live in a city, and when I've gone to go live in a city, when I lived in Paris, when I lived in Kansas City, when I lived in Columbia, when I lived in and outside of Chicago, when I lived in Minneapolis, when I lived in these certain areas, you see what happens in these spaces, and it is not healthy. People don't treat people well in cities because you're a small fish in a big, big, big ocean. And you truly walk past homeless people, or you walk past thousands of people, you walk past hundreds of thousands of people, and you usually never know their name. You're living right on top of them, and boom, 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 boom. And you're in an elevator, and people purposely put their headphones on to avoid you. You become desensitized to people. You don't think that they need you or you need them. And in fact, in a city, sometimes you don't. It kind of just is an automated thing, like a microchip under, but in a town that's smaller, you know people, you see people, you feel judged, but you feel important. You feel a certain pressure, responsibility. Maybe you're the butcher, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you're the police staff. People know you and you're held accountable. Now, this program going up in schools, whether or not you agree with it or not, Australia recently, and this is a really interesting woman because I like to get my news from all around the world, guys. And it's not just something CRT, critical race theory, that America is dealing with. There's other countries, right? We are not special, that have dealt with this and have had to deal with such, whether it be socialist or communism or fascist or whatever words, fancy, controlled, authoritarian movements you want to call it, KGB, Chinese mind control, whatever. Jacinta, do we say Jacinta? Jacinta? It's beautiful. Jacinta Price. She was speaking on Sky News Australia, Director of Indigenous Research. When you're talking about Indigenous communities, genocides, Australia has some really amazing policies, directors, awareness programs around their Indigenous community, saving them, protecting them, and then also some pretty horrific documentaries that come out of it, because Australia, obviously a very hot tourist spot. People go in there to see the Irwin family and just, drive right past the Indigenous people there. But the abuse, and she talks very well, and she talks from, if you're liberal and it matters, a feminine person of color. And she talks about the anti-indoctrination of children and how it really is abuse. It's abuse of the vulnerable, whether they're elderly, they're illiterate, they're children. And I want people to notice this when you think about this in this way, that we have a president who recently just announced, despite the amazing financial deficit that it will create, despite capital gains, despite how it will grossly inflate and affect the continued economic caste system that is the monster at hand that we are dealing with. It is the dragon in the hill. That this seed program that has been around for a while, teaching, misteaching, erasing, saying we are going to provide daycare. We are going to provide 2 free years of college. That's potentially 4 more years of indoctrination, of continued policies and curriculum that, quite frankly, are abusive. They're abusive, and they're not just abusive, they're racist and they're discriminatory, and they instill feelings of victimhood and vulnerability and less than and segregation. And really, I think, and in one ways we'll see this pretty important in American spaces right now, where you're seeing a lot on the media, these curriculums that are going to start teaching slave patrol in essence, right there with policing and policing in America. Now I've been stepping in slowly despite my husband's hesitancy and my own hesitancy in a small town to step in with the school board stuff and say, listen, the critical race theory, it's not going to happen. I've got 2 white boys potentially, right, that I'm raising. And as far as the world seeing them, they don't care. They don't care that they're part Cherokee or part Scandinavian. They don't care about their ethnicity. People are going to look at them. They're going to say, wait a minute, let me see the color. Nope. You're an oppressor. You're a mean, bad person. And I'm not okay with that. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen on my watch. It's definitely not going to happen at school. And I will be the front line there. And I would expect most parents to be. However, the truth is most home systems, nuclear families, foster care, parents that are too busy, unable, working, they are juggling their time, their energy, quite frankly, are even unaware that this is even happening. So many people are sick of watching the news. They may not even be aware it comes home in a small piece of paper with the other 12 pieces of paper in their backpacks. You don't notice. And teaching that police is rooted in slavery when it isn't, I'm absolutely going to step in because I have a degree in law enforcement and I have family who are law enforcement and I provide mental health for law enforcement. And I teach my children to thank law enforcement every single time they see someone in a uniform, whether it's a postal uniform, a military uniform, a firefighter uniform, a police uniform, or a nurse's scrubs uniform. If it is a uniform, if you have taken off certain roles of your own, certain identifiable attributes of your personhood, and you have put forth a value of community to serve as a group for others, by others, for us, by us, right? That if you have come forward and have put on a uniform, because yes, Black people can be police officers, women can be in the military, and there are certain, just like if you are going to serve, I'm going to say thank you. And to teach anything short of that is indoctrinating further discriminatory feelings against your police. So when you especially know the eugenics program and this curriculum going into inner cities where people are predominantly people of color and they feel segregated from their community and they likely have parents that are struggling to get by because the average rent in Minneapolis for like a 1-bedroom is about $1,200 and daycare is about $560 a week for one child, and that I can't do this and everything's a Zoom meeting and I can't even bring my kids into school and I've got to do this and we're all living on top of each other and nobody cares. And I've got mental health issues and I'm really struggling and I feel like I'm sick because my food is sick, my water is sick, everything is sick, and it's a sick system. And it is designed. If you are feeling sick in an unhealthy environment, it may not be you. And this slave patrol history is, and understanding the difference between policing when someone says, it's like the whole coyote experience that we had a year back, guys, in the debate. Don't go off laughing about the word policing when you have to understand human behavior. Have there been groups of people that went out on slave patrol like bounty hunters? Yeah. People that cared more about their money than people. Like the CEOs of the world today, like the ones that do slave anyway, like the ones like that are named LeBron that say this over here, and then they have their sweaters and shoes and their merchandise made overseas in Chinese slave labor where they're doing it so bad that they're shipping people in containers and then just shutting that shit down on the internet so you can't talk about it. It's almost funny. You guys, 1838, it's right around where policing started in America. We say policing as in the formal structure, system of police, what they were there, what they did. They started in cities where we needed to manage each other, mostly people on people crime, as it usually always is. Don't perpetuate the fear. Don't perpetuate the hate. Please don't. If you would like to get a really wonderful perspective from a well-spoken, wise Black man on policing in America, Thomas Sowell, great person, talking, has a book on it. And you can actually go and talk to your local police. You cannot be afraid of them. Approach them at the gas station as they wait for their donut and say, thank you for your service. Were you taught anything about how policing started in your police program? Like, where would you go to learn more about history? Why did you start? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, I want to end it because I know we're in the last 15 minutes and I could absolutely rant about this forever. But it goes back to the name of the show, No Man's Land. Why did I pick that name, or why that name? Not just for the purgatory space, not just because I remember hearing stories about wartime in history class. I had some of the best history teachers growing up. I still talk to them like weekly, daily, like from school, from college. Yeah. All my history teachers, Mr. Packett, Bob Packett. If you go to the podcast, History by Bob. Oh my gosh. Great. I had really great teachers growing up. And because of that, that was a privilege. And I've kept in contact with them and told them thank you. I also had a really great dad. And when I think No Man's Land, a place to stop wartime, a place to stop the fighting, and to go meet in the middle, to talk about things, to be coming from completely different places. You know, my parents got divorced. They came from completely different places. You know, Irish, Native American, educated, not educated, alcoholic, Southern Baptist, Gypsy, Native, Irish, Catholic, not, you know, like just so many different pulls and yanks and dichotomies, juxtapositions. And I fell in love with alchemy and my own spirituality when learning about electricity, when learning about a complete circuit, when learning about lighting up a light bulb with a lemon, when learning about the people who get left behind between heaven and hell because they haven't quite decided because they're skeptical. When I think about the gray, the area not being a fence rider, being undecided, but still asking questions, alchemy to me has helped me describe that process mentally and spiritually and emotionally. And I use that in my mental health practice, but I also use it when I'm thinking of neurolinguistic programming, language, the lack of journalism these days, censorship. Recently, Billie Eilish. Now, Billie Eilish. Ugh. I struggle with this because I've been a fan of hers for a very long time. If you've joined me on social media over the years, gosh, years ago, I shared her on my Facebook stream because, well, my husband's a gamer. And at that time, we're also on SoundCloud. We have music and collaborate with musicians and Joseph Gordon-Levitt on Hit Record all the time. So online music collaboration is not unfamiliar territory. And her Ocean Eyes collaboration with her brother done on SoundCloud that went viral was like one of those underground musical myth stories where you're like, wow, look, somebody made it. And I really liked her because of her duet space, kind of like Carmen. This younger female that doesn't want to subjugate herself to the sexual objectivity of the world, trying to make it in Hollywood with kind of weird, strange, overprotective parents, and traveling with her family and being sheltered and being kind of weird and having Tourette's, and her brother, brilliant, Asperger's, strange, being a gifted musician. Both of them are. And then kind of being a little off together. I thought it was a beautiful combination. And I had watched them. And when she did, You'll Have to See Me in the Crown or See Me Wear the Crown, it was this beautiful video where she's got spiders crawling on her. Come on, guys. I love entomology as much as etymology. And I loved this video. I watched the making of the video. I shared it on my Facebook. I remember people being like, oh my God, that is so gross. That's so gross. And like, I did a photography shoot around this. I thought it was great. I shared it with all my friends. Like, look at this girl. Isn't she awesome? And that's weird, Sarah. You're paranormal, Sarah. You're weird. You always like the weird shit. Why are you always into weird shit? Whatever. She's awesome. I love her. I hope she does great things. Fast forward 3 years later. Oh my God, Billie Eilish is the best. Billie Eilish is the best. Fast forward 3 more years. Today, she's on the front of this Vogue. She's been known to always wear baggy clothes, struggle with her appearance because she's been under scrutiny and she's kind of struggled with mental health. And She's in this corset. She's in like latex fetish looking lingerie, very classic beauty, which is ironic. They did her makeup and hair, that classic blonde Marilyn Monroe who overdosed because of the pressure, who talked like this because people wondered if like she was abused or something because she utilized her sexual energy, Mr. President, to get what she wanted. And there is, I can tell you as a forensic psychologist person working with people in therapy, I say person because of licensure, that this people speak that way who've often been abused. They speak that way to get a certain response. You wear clothing to get a certain response. I think as you age or mature, you understand your power. You come into confidence. You grow out of the hormonal stress and puberty that we know is a crazy time of transformation. And you kind of get more comfortable in your skin and you start to go, oh God, I was crazy back then. I did stupid things, right? Billie Eilish, you're doing stupid things, just telling you, and you're saying very stupid things. Now, I say this as a woman, as a mother, as someone who I cannot tolerate this abusive baloney language, because if it were turned around, it would not be okay. And the double standard is, I can't. And I really can't, especially from being someone that I like, and I like your music. Just like in her interview saying, men are weak. You know, they see our cleavage, they see us in our sexy clothing, and they just grab at us. And it's like, ugh, men are so weak. In reference to impulse control, in reference to grab assing and did she consent, did she not consent? It was interesting. Again, a male dominated podcast realm. Not very many people covered it. Louder with Crowder covered it. And this is a like patriarch male, all men panel talking about this and moved it into a satanic space, which I thought was really interesting because I work with Satanists. And I wouldn't say, well, maybe that perpetuating the Hollywood Satanism, adrenochrome conspiracy is strange and weird. But can we say that in that misuse of energy, the feminist misuse of control, that men are weak? I really struggle with this because you're saying that about my husband. You're saying that about my dad. You're saying that about my brother. You're saying that about my sons. And they are not weak. People that cannot control themselves, such as someone who says poor things, written, published, edited poor things. That's a generalized statement that's derogatory and rude. And it's absolutely not accurate either. And impulse control, when song of the year was Wet Ass Pussy, it's a devalue. It's a misstep. Big time. You don't say those things wearing that. Well, why not? I can do what I want. I should be able to do what I want. No. That's the same. That's that whole same, like we're protesting and it's mostly peaceful, partly violent. Guys, no, that's not how it works. Liberties. You have that liberty until it infringes upon the liberties of someone else. You having a platform as role model, elevated to that position by men and women everywhere, fans across the world, you collaboratively making your music with a man, raised by two parents who are still married. You're created by a man. You were once a sperm, Billie Eilish. Part of you was once a little sperm, and you were not weak. In fact, you were the best of your bunch. You were the top of your load, Billie, and you made it this far. And it's a collaborative effort. It's a community effort. And shame. Shame on you for thinking you're so special and degrading people because apparently you had a heartache of some kind and you're mad at some man or some penis for some reason. And you know what? That's unfortunate. And heartache is hard. And some people are assholes and some people are stupid. And when you go out and you dress a certain way, which we can control in America, we still have that choice how we dress. And if you decide that you want to cut your hair or wear lipstick or act this way or dance that way or sing this way, you get, for a little bit while longer, the control. So to say, you know what, I'm just going to say, fuck it. The fact that you have all the choices in the world, all the money in the world, and a certain level of responsibility for your fame, and that you choose to say men are weak and that you're just going to fuck it, is a reflection of poor character, I dare say. And unfortunately, that reflection of poor character will crumble. And as it crumbles, it's that you are owned. It's that you don't know what you're saying and you don't know that you have the control. You've lost it. If you think anyone out there is weak and you use your platform to say so, man, it is a reflection of yourself. As my dad always said, if they will gossip with you, they'll gossip about you. And, you know, a lot of people talk. It's the horse's mouth that I'm most interested in. I can't believe you said that. Shame, shame, shame. I know your name. And this week it has been Biden. It has been Brandon Mitchell. You shouldn't have worn that shirt. And Billie Eilish. You shouldn't be saying that on the front of a magazine that quite honestly objectifies and is known to objectify people. And you're wearing fetish lingerie, talking about impulse control, dangling the carrot while biting the hand that feeds you. It won't fare well. It won't fare well. But who am I? Who am I to say? We don't know. We can only watch it unfold. And we'll watch it unfold together. And hopefully you guys are utilizing this time to just enjoy the popcorn, prepare yourself, eat healthy, be involved in your community, be respectful, be kind to each other, be aware, check out the people that you know, ask for the headlines, where they are at, and know that you do have value. And everything that you say, everything that you do, everything that you don't say, and everything that you don't do, it does affect the people around you. It affects me. It affects your neighbor. And for that reason, we should all very much care about each other. So that's just is it. That's just it. And the fact that, I mean, just a fun fact, 15% of the police population are Black officers or people that identify as a person of color, a Black American. Whereas only 12% of our population on census is Black American. So by density, like that sample, police are more Black than the people of America are Black. And yet they're systematically racist. That's interesting. That's interesting. Just interesting little things. Just interesting little thoughts. You guys, I hope that you will join me tomorrow. It'll be Thursday. It'll be the last day this week that we have No Man's Land. Monday through Thursday, noon Central Standard Time. And I hope that you will message me where you are at and what the news is where you are. We want to leave it on a positive note. I'll leave you on a strange conspiracy positive note. If you haven't heard or didn't know, it's 555. The dog's barking because they've started the tornado sirens. You hear them? All of them. Oh, he's doing a good job. It's 1 o'clock, first Wednesday of the month. Well, it's 3 minutes till, but that tells me it's about time. But anyway, it's 555. So numerologically speaking, earth, water, air, fire, spirit. And with all powers combined, we are Captain America. No, it's Red Skull. No, it's not. That's Peterson now. No, it's Red Skull. No, it's Captain America. No, he's racist. We don't know who it is. We don't know who it is, but we know that today, as far as 555, is a great portal day. So maybe the aliens come a little early. Maybe it'll be before June. We don't know. Let me know if near you are seeing aliens. Let me know if near you the headlines are accurately representing your community. And let me know how you're doing. I hope you're doing well. And I will see you here, right here, same spot, same time tomorrow at 12 Central Standard Time for No Man's Land. Until then, guys.